Hey everyone, welcome to our live stream and thank you for joining us. My name is Vedankur and I'm from community team LottieFiles. We are super excited today to share about the tips for great mobile user experience using animation. We have Carine and who is the product designer and Foong Wai, who is the product lead both at LottieFiles today to share some tips with us. We hope you are ready for what's coming up next. So get ready to enhance your animation skills. And I believe we have folks joining in from across the globe. Please do give yourself please do give yourself a shout out on the live chat and tell us where you're from joining. For those who joining our live stream for the first time, let me share a quick intro about LottieFiles. So what is LottieFiles? LottieFiles is a platform for testing, collaborating, and discovering animation for a community of designers and developers. The platform offers a variety of tools and features that aim to make the discovery, creation, and implementation of Lottie animation easier and more efficient. There are plenty of ways you can make full use of Lottie. These are some use cases where you can use Lottie files. You can use them in your app, website, presentations, ads, or even create a cool Telegram sticker and add them to your projects. There are over 130,000 plus companies that uses Lottie files to ship their animation. Some of them includes TikTok, Google, Airbnb, and Disney. So, say hi to Lottie community. Our team runs various events across the globe covering topics for developers, designer, and marketers. So do check out our community page or simply search for hashtag Lottie community on any social media channels to find and connect with our fellow organizers and evangelists. And lastly, before we begin our session, please enjoy this short intro video about Lottie files.
I've got a big fat drum. I've got a big fat drum, pounding so bad. I've got a big fat drum. I've got a big fat, big. Listen, yeah, clap. You ready? Let's go.
That was amazing. So let's welcome our speaker, Karen and Fongwei to the stage. Hey, Karen. Hey, Fong. How are you doing?
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. Hi, Vedanko. I'm doing great. Very excited to be here today.
Hi, Valenko. Hi,
Yes.
Carine.
Yeah. Yeah. So would you like to introduce yourself to our live audience?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Carine Chang, currently the product designer in the mobiles team. So anything that has to do with iOS and Android, the apps, tablet, or Mac OS, Windows, we are here to help you to build your products in LottieFiles.
Hi, and I'm Foong Wai. So, as Valenko has introduced, I am the product lead at LottieFiles with the mobile team as well. Super excited to create delightful experiences for users and really excited to see everyone here.
Awesome. So I'll now pass the stage over to you. All the best.
Thank you so much, Vedankur. So, hello, animations, and hi, everyone. Super excited to be here. I hope we are as excited as I am to share today. So, today we'll be covering a little bit on animations, the types of animation, use cases, as well as how can you engage your users through your mobile app with Lottie animations. We are also going to go through a few examples of products and apps that are using Lottie animations. So, stay tuned for that. Before we go ahead, we actually have LottieFiles, and if we are not really familiar with LottieFiles, it's basically an open source animation file format where it helps you to remove all of the complexity of your motion design and helps you to compress all of the file 600 times smaller comparing to a GIF file. So you can check out our website if you are interested in that. It also helps you to boost your users' engagement as well as your conversion as well. So without further ado, let's get started. So animations, there's just so many kinds of animations, and a few just to list it out is what you can see in this screen here. Firstly is navigation, whereby most of the time if you're using an app, you might see them in your navigation bar, whether it's on your top navigation bar or at the bottom of the navigation bar with all your menus. So they might be having a bit of action in that on the. Secondly, you might also see them in micro interactions. So what you can see like this little bell here, when you turn on or off your notifications, how the bell would react to you tapping on it is part of a micro interaction. And a few other examples could be when you're typing on a favorite icon in your social media, how that little heart shape would pop up in red to show that you have liked it. That is also part of a micro animation as well. You also would see a lot of loading and progress animations when you're trying to complete an action. So that's how a product would usually help to portray the progress that something is happening behind the scenes. Animations can also be used in storytelling and branding. So this is actually a very interesting one that we're going to cover later on. So stay tuned until the end if you're interested to find out more. So right now, let's move on to a few examples of apps that are using Lottie animations. And the very first example that we have here is Boost app. Some of you might be very familiar with this. Of you might think that it's quite new to you. So a bit of context of what Boost does. It's a Malaysian homegrown e-wallet app. So they are a e-wallet where the users can scan their QR codes, make purchases in restaurants, shops. They also let you pay your bills and payments within the app. You also can do in-app purchases like shopping in the app as well. So it's kind of like all-in-one app. And as you can see here, how they're using animations, these are actually Lottie animations, and they use it in their onboarding screen. So when the user lands in the Boost app itself, whether or not they are a new user or returning user, you might sometimes see this kind of first impression onboarding steps. So here they actually use animations to direct attention to the most important content. And as you can see from this screen, your eyes would naturally fall into all of the visuals that they have. So let's look at the most left screen here. You might be looking at a phone, and then they have this idea of cards moving in that indicates that your phone is here to be part of your e-wallet and it functions as a e-wallet. And then the ones in the middle, even without reading the text, you might have a very rough idea that Boost is available in online stores, physical stores, and then you can just scan a QR code to make your payment. And on the right screen here, you are looking at how they are featuring a few more other use cases that you can have within your Boost app, such as movies, vouchers, transport and transit, shopping, and even movies. How cool is that? So all of these are actually using Lottie animations. And as we know, onboarding new users is actually a very critical task within an app, especially if your app is new to the market, or if you have a specific interaction that is somewhat complex or new to your group of audience. So this is where you would want to put in animations to onboard them, or even to have this small little very splendid experience when they first come into your app. It can also be a very huge help when attention spans are just generally short and the information that you want to convey to your users are critical to making sure that your users know how to navigate their way through your app. Okay, so one of these example here is their signature shake animation, which shows up after their payment. So what Boost has here is whenever you to connect to your phone, so as the phone that indicates them to download, right, is actually indicating you to have this kind of visual hints so that the users will know what's up to do next. As you can see, the phone there is indicating for them to shake, and then once they shake it, there is this rewarding unwrapping the gift kind of experience within that animation. And this experience is actually very, very effective at conveying the desired behavior, even without any explicit instructions. As you can see here, there is very minimal text within that screen, and even with just that very simple animation is already enough to let your users know what's the next step. Okay, so the attention grabbing strength of animation can also be used as a part of a way for a product designer to have fun with it within a product as well. So for example, you can add in delightful moment in your app to have a great opportunity to make it stand out to your audience and also connect better with your users. So for example, Boost actually takes advantage the opportunity of introducing this kind of surprising moments in between their app. For example, they have this Chinese New Year celebration where they enabled their users to send a specific amount and then wrap it in a red packet digitally and then send it over to their friends and family as a token of appreciation. So what you can see right here is basically one of the flows. The left screen is when, as a sender, I have already allocated the amount that I want to send it out and then wrap it up in a red packet, choose my wrapper, and then this is where you will see sending ang pao, which is part of the loading state in animation. Whereby on the screen on the right, which is on the opposite side of the world, the receiver will be seeing. So the right screen here is basically this very cute lion dance, revealing how much when they open up their red packet. So even in these very simple two screens, we have already covered loading animation, which is the one on the left, as well as a successful state animation, which is on the right. So it's not only just, the usual loading and the tick for successful state. So there's just so many kinds of possibilities to do this. So we have gone through these very interesting 3 examples of Boost. Let's go through a very, very quick recap. Animations can be used in onboarding, and it's a really great asset to create a very strong impression for your users, especially if they're new to your product. Secondly, you can also use them as a prompt of suggestion for an action so that you provide more context to your users. And then thirdly, we also have them being able to use in events or even campaigns. So it's not only applicable for product designs or tech, it could also be applicable for people in the marketing team as well. This is where you can embrace the celebratory feeling and excitement, as what you can see even from here. So you might be wondering how long generally would an animation last? And I would say the timing is specifically important in this sense because you want to make sure that they are not too long, but not too short. So somewhere in the between, which is nice and sweet. The best way for you to get a good duration in this case is just to try it out. Once you have that animation, play it and see how it feels like. If it's an animation that is too short, generally it would just feel broken, or it might end very abruptly, whereby the users might not 100% understand what's happening within that screen yet. And if it's too long, say if it's like 10 seconds or more, imagine if the user is always coming back, they have to go through this flow every time, like 3 times a day, you probably will have to look at this animation 3 times a day. And if it's repetitive, it can be quite annoying. So just make sure that the duration here is just right. You can do this by trying to look out for animations that you see generally and find the most optimum timing. It might have a specific range, say 2 seconds to 4 seconds. And if that feels right to you for the context of animation you're trying to design, then you can use that as a starting point to create your animations. So yeah, there we go. We have Boost. And as we speak, let's try to dive a bit deeper into a finance app, for example. And in this case, we have Toss. So it's a Korean finance app, and they generally aim to make it convenient for the users to experience a variety of financial products. So an example for this would be anything to do with banking, securities, insurance, all in one single app. So that's Toss in a very short summary. And how you can see that they actually also use animations in their onboarding, but they have a very close association with their finance branding. So as you can see here, they have these cards that eases in and then flips open and close, even without having to understand the Korean language yet or even read at the context. I can sort of already know that it has to do with something about financial products. So motion is a very important visual storytelling for your brand, and it helps to communicate your brand story in a much more interesting way in this case. Sometimes, in some cases, there are situations that are unavoidable for your users. Say for a tosses situation, if the user is trying to go through a remittance or a payment, the process of completing the purchase or waiting for the payment to get through is part of a waiting process. Another example for that could be if they are submitting a form, the process of waiting for that form to be submitted is also part of a waiting experience as well. So in this case, whether it's fetching a data or completing a request, it's just very important to show to your users that something is actually happening or has happened. So without any feedback, your users are left to wonder whether or not a request was acted or heard at all. And we do not want that kind of scenario to happen, to let them feel very lost. So with a good feedback, we have this loading and progress animation, as you can see here, to give them a sense that something is in fact happening in the background. It also helps you to make sure that the conversation between your interface and your user is going during these unavoidable waiting periods. So an example, as you can see in this screen here, we have a very nice loading animation from 0% to 100%, and then it ends up with a tick. So in this case, it just helps you to keep your users informed by demonstrating the process of completing an action. This is also able to reassure them that something is in fact happening behind the scenes. Yeah. I'm not sure if a few of us might have encountered any situations whereby when you have already completed an action or when you're waiting for an action to be completed, you're just not sure whether or not there's a feedback or if it's your phone laggy or what's the problem. Is it from your end or is the product? So this is where animations in loading and progress would really help to give some sort of feedback to your users. Okay. Other examples of loading in progress could also be a progress bar or timeline. Say if your app needs to have a step-by-step progress to complete a certain action, that's where you can use this kind of loading animation as well. Even if you have pull down to refresh functions, that could also work. So all these kind of animations, how simple it is, how big or small the effort is, it's always there to help your users and help them to eliminate the stress and reinforce the sense that the user is moving forward. So there you go, we have loading and progress. Let's try to see what other kinds of use cases we have in animations. And TOS have this very interesting one, which is they animated their emojis in their chat function in TOS. How cool is that? So as you can see inside here, instead of having static emojis, they actually bring life to their emotions to add a dash of expressiveness in their conversation. And when things are a bit more lively, you can just see that your conversations are just so much more interesting with your friends. So there you go, form of expression for animations. So let's get through a quick recap for TOS. In the few examples that we have went through, we can see that animations can give your users a good idea of what the app provides by simple animations of your brand assets. And secondly, loading and progress animations also helps to demonstrate the process of completing an action and how long the action will take. We also have the third example from them, which is animated emojis. So this will also help you to make a chat even more interesting and alive. So far we have gone through 2 examples, and you might wonder, what if my product is something apart from finance or e-wallet or lifestyle. And then now let's try to cover Headspace. So Headspace is generally a mental health app. And if some of us might not know yet, they generally help to cover guided sessions in meditation with the goal of mindfulness. So when we think about meditation or mindfulness, there is a few keywords or associations that is tied to it in our own definition. So it could be something that makes us feel at ease, calm, relaxing, and a space that makes us feel joyful yet at peace. So this is where we will be tying back to our point earlier on, which is storytelling and branding, whereby Headspace could be a very good example for this case. So as you can see inside here, they are actually animating their brand assets, and they are using elements that are associated with all of these feelings that we had earlier on with meditation or mindfulness. So encouragement, assurance, sense of love and care in their app is also how they play around with animations. You can also notice that the pace of the animations are also being toned down to make sure that the users are catching up with what's happening in live or in app, and generally just feel comfortable and safe while using this app. So anytime when you combine a fitting amount of utility and an equally fitting amount of brand personality to an animation, this is where you would merge them into one, and branding and storytelling comes into place using animations. It's also a very helpful experience to have in your back pocket when you want to create a specific mood or feeling with motion in a project. Wait, what do we mean by that? So let's get into this. Headspace actually utilizes space and motion to create an ambient using animated backgrounds. What? I was really shocked when I hear this. So as you can see on the two screens, two sides here, the left one is generally an animated background where you can see that they are slowly moving the elements. And then the right screens are how it's being used in context. So let's use the most right as an example. They basically have these backgrounds in podcasts when users play it. So as there is a guided voice in this exercise, say they're actually going through a breathing exercise, you can see as they ask us or guide us through inhaling and exhaling for 3 seconds, hold it in and then exhale. You can also see that the semicircles, which is the backgrounds, are expanding and also moving downwards to indicate a physical activity, such as inhaling, just like how our stomachs are expanding, and then exhaling as well. So animations not only shows you different kinds of states, success, loading, unsuccessful states, it can also bring you some sort of really amazing mood or a vibe or a tone to your app itself. And in this case, you might then be thinking, so we have gone through so many kinds of animations. How much is too much to apply within your app? And I will always like to use this example whereby animation is just like a spice rack, and then your digital product is your stew. So in the cooking theory, generally, if you add just one spice, your stew might just taste very empty and uninviting. Whereas on the other hand, if you put too much of spice, it will then just feel very overwhelming and confusing. It's like, what's happening here? So that's the same concept as animation within a mobile app as well. You want to find the balance, the right recipe to it to make sure that your stew is just delicious and nourishing. So there we go for Headspace examples. Let's have a quick recap on this. Animations are being used to set down a tone or a mood, and sometimes giving out a kind of storytelling or a character that is associated with the brand of the product. So there we go. We have gone through a few types of animations, the use cases of it, as well as how can you engage them in your mobile app with motion. I'll now pass the time to Foong Wai to talk more about how you can actually use all of these animations in context using the LottieFiles app.
Thanks, Carine. That was brilliant. And hi again, everyone. I see a couple of familiar names joining in, and some new names. So really cool to see everyone here. So you've heard some examples from Corinne on how animations are used in various apps to create a great user experience. What I'm gonna do next is to show you, using the LottieFiles mobile app, 3 easy ways of using animations in your app design, where you can find the right animations, and how you can share your ideas with your team to start off on your own journey. So let's get started. First, install the app on from the App Store or the Play Store. Go ahead and launch the app. Once you're in the home screen, you'll notice a bunch of things that you can do, right? You can search through all the free animations for your designs. You can see the featured animations. And with view animations, you can instantly visualize how animations will look in different use cases. And we will be diving into this section today. So one of the most popular use case for animations to provide feedback would be in loading screen, success or completion screen, and error screens. Let's go into one of them. I'll tap on the success screen. So I've picked the success screen template here. And you can see for this template, there is a hero animation. There is a suggested text. And at the bottom, there are curated animations which will work great for success scenarios. So they've all been brilliantly created by the community and they're all ready for you to use. Like Karine said, for success screens, you can think of hero actions in the journey where you want to provide positive reinforcement. So, for example, you're designing a learning app and you have quizzes. There will be an action when the user completes the quiz. So, use that as a moment to introduce joy. Right, just tapping on the different animations here can let you see which one works best for you. Okay, so let's switch to a different use case now. And let's go to look at the loading screens. So for loading screens, think about where your app could be processing events in the background. Examples could be in account creation flows. You're setting up the user's account or you're loading up a personalized experience. So reassure users with an animation for loading and make the waiting feel short. Once again, these are all the animations from the community that you can already use. And the third way for error screen. So for error screens, you can use animations to lighten the mood and protect users from feeling frustrated. You can draw out the possible error states in the app, which you have. So for example, if there is a search flow and there are no results, or if the user provided a wrong information and the app cannot process it. So these are the 3 immediate ways that you can quickly introduce animations into your app. Let's head back to the success template and I'll show you more. Say you're designing a kids app and you want to reward the kid for an achievement. And kids love nothing more than dinosaurs and candy and cake. So luckily for us, the community has created tons of perfect animations to use. And one of our contributors, Alex, has created a really, really cute animation here of a happy dino. So let's just assume to use this animation. You can customize this mockup design, right? You can make changes to the background color so that it matches your full app design. Simply tap on the teardrop icon, and there is a row of colors already extracted from the animation, which will be a great match for your design. If you want to use something different, simply use the slider to adjust. So I really like the cream color here, and I'll pick this. If you want to change the words a bit more, simply tap on the text here to edit. So it looks good to me, so I'll leave it. And this is how it looks like in full screen. So you could be wondering, are you limited to these animations that we have curated here? Nope, we are not. Tap on the plus sign, and it's already showing all the search results for success because you're in a success template. If you want to search for a different animation, just simply type into the search bar here whatever you want and go ahead and search for it. So let's pick one here and add it to the template. And it's a quick comparison of what works for you. So finally, now that you're happy with this, how can you share this animation to your team, right? To your stakeholders, to your marketing team, like Karen has mentioned just now, if it's for a campaign. A picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So if you tap on share, what it'll do is it'll export the animation the background color you've chosen, as well as the text. Tap on Share as Mockup, and simply select who you want to share it to. Right, so if it's to Carine, hey, what do you think? And sending it across, she'll receive it exactly as how you see it here. So if you want to save a few versions to compare, select another animation and repeat the process. This is a really great and easy way of getting your team on board to explore animations to use. If you like the animation, remember, a word of encouragement goes a really long way for our creators. Go tell them and appreciate them that you really love the animation you are using it. So when you tap on the information button earlier, you will be able to see the animation info and you can find the creator here. Head over to their profile and check out more of their work. Remember to leave your comment, leave a like for their animation. So one last thing, you can apply any animation, any 70,000 of the free animations you see on our platform into any of the screen templates earlier, right? So if you really like something, so let's say you tap on this little jellyfish, and you want to visualize it in a screen design, just tap into the phone icon here and instantly view it in any template. So that's a quick wrap. Three ways to use animations in your designs, where you can find animations to use, and how you can quickly share them with your team. And that's it for my section. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll hand this session now over to Vadanko.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Karen and Fong. That was an enlightening session. Can we have Karen also? Yeah, hey, Karen. Welcome back. That was an amazing session, both of you. So let's now get to the Q&A session. Our live audience, they can drop their question for our speakers in the live chat section. And in the meantime, we have a couple of questions from our RSVP. Let's get to that first. Okay, so here's the first question. Is there a maximum number of animations to be used on each page or screen?
Right. So there is no technical maximum per se. There is a constraint in terms of the performance, the impact on the performance of the app, right? So animations that are complex will slow down the phone, and typically you want to look for animations which have a smaller size that Lotties are known for, right? So there is no technical max, but you just want to watch out for the performance impact when you are using the animations.
Okay. I hope our viewers got the answer. So that comes to our next question. How to add Lottie animation in iOS and Android?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. And it's really easy to start, actually. So if you're from a development, so if you're a developer, simply go to GitHub and look for the Airbnb Lottie library for iOS and Android and install that in your project. And you can bring animations in from our platform either as a JSON file or use the URL. And you can simply load up your animations within your app itself. So I think, yeah. So our LottieFiles admin has already dropped the two links in the chat, and you can go over there to check it out. You can also look at our education section in LottieFiles. So that's lottiefiles.com/education, and we have really great resources and tutorials about how you can get started to use Lottie animations in both the platforms.
Okay. So we have the links in the chat box also. You can visit to these links. So now the third question is, how can you use animation in design and still compile with the accessibility?
All right, let me pick this up. It's very interesting question. First of all, it already depends on where your persona or your users are coming from. So say if it's to cater to visual barrier situations, you might want to look into improving the visibility of your animations, as well as paying more attention into selecting your colors, making sure that they're all in very high contrast. So for example, on this would be a black and white is a very high contrast because there are two exact opposite colors, whereby a light gray on white would be a very low contrast. So not everyone is able to see that clearly, and you just want to make sure that it's clear enough for your users as you are designing an animation. Secondly, it's to avoid flashy or blinking effects or even pulsing motions. This is so that we're able to prevent potential seizures for people who are susceptible to it. If you have any animations that flashes 3 or more times within 1 second, that's where you might want to look into considering whether to remove them, or if you can slow down the pace of your animations. Or better even, if you could remove them totally, that would be ideal. But in any cases, if it's not able to be removed, then you might want to consider giving a heads up for your users. And then thirdly, maybe when you're designing some sort of motion in a screen, you might want to consider that the motion and interaction is both aligning, to make sure that it's intuitive for your users. For example, if a user is scrolling from top to bottom reading through an article, you wouldn't want a motion to have an opposite direction thing that will confuse them or even just make them feel very dizzy. So these are a few tips for designing an animation that is accessible for your users.
Thank you, Karen. So we have one more question. Can be animated icon make different engagement and retention? Some experience
Okay,
on project tells, yeah. So some experience on project tells me that's not good because it makes distraction for the users. I think someone has shared this question from his or her experience.
okay. Really thankful to have this question. It's actually very interesting to look into this when it comes to animated icons. Because sometimes you might be too excited to design an animation and just you add more things to it. So the first thing to think about is, let's say if you're looking into animated icons, animations in this case should act as a supporting asset for your users. So it should be there to reinforce certain things. And in fact, I would say that the strength of that attention grabbing could be a strength of animation. So you could guide the users or reinforce certain context that you want to bring them through at a specific time in your app. So, for example, you might notice, let's say in the data when you're tracking, your users might seem very lost when they first onboard into your app. They might not know what to tap on. So this is where you can actually introduce animations, such as a pulsing animation in a specific feature that you want to highlight for your users. So this pulsing wouldn't be too flashy, or it shouldn't be in a very strong color. It's just that, just a very gentle reminder that, oh, if you're lost, this is a hint of where you can kickstart how to explore this app. And other things that you can look at is to use them as visual hints, suggestion, or even to give some sort of feedback of an action. So there you go.
Okay, thank you. So I think now we'll move to our live audience question. We have few questions in the comment box. Speakers, you can go through the live chat and you can answer the questions.
All right, let's have a look. Okay, so I see that Geoff has mentioned what is your go-to tools for building an app. So speaking from a product design's perspective, you could explore Figma, which is a free-to-use platform. And generally, I would say it's pretty easy for anyone to pick it up. There is also tons of ways for you to learn it in the platform as well. Another option is probably Sketch. That's another way for you to look into designing.
I hope Geoff got his answer.
There's a question
Yeah.
from Suban. Um, Possibility of support of After Effects for Lotties. We do have we do have a LottieFiles plugin for AE. Um, it's on our website, so we'll drop you the link as well. What it does is that you can create your animations within AE, and with the plugin, you can directly upload your animations to the LottieFiles platform, and from there you can access your animations across all the design tools that we support, such as XD or Figma as well. So you can bring your animation from source to the end result very easily.
Okay. There is one question from Ben. How can animations work better with accessibility while developing an app? So we have kind of gone through a similar question to this, but to top it on from this question is when you're designing an animation, try to also still give some sort of text to give context on the animation, just in case if the person is not able to view the animation or if it's not compatible somehow in their OS or their versions, at least they still have a bit of understanding on what's happening within that screen. Um, Speaking about compatibility wise, generally Lottie animation should be able to work in both iOS and Android, as long as your animations have the supported features for LottieFiles animation. So we will be dropping in the link for you to look on more of the other featured supports. So when you're designing an animation, you're able to kind of refer to these and make sure that they work well in your OS or your device.
Okay, I think uh, we had these questions in the live chat. Is there any other question that our live audience want to ask? There's one question in the live chat. Anyone?
Okay, so from Victoria, what tools would you advise to create animations for Lottie? So generally, if you are very well versed in animation, you can try out After Effects. Or if you do not have any background in animation, you can just explore the many animations that we already have in your LottieFiles web or even app. So these are all free to use, but of course, remember, if you're using them, feel free to give a little bit of love to the animators by giving them a credit as well.
I hope our live audience they are getting their answers. So we have dropped few links regarding to plugins, After Effect, and there's one supported feature link also. Please visit those links, and you might get more clarification about the plugins. Yeah. Okay, and that brings us to the end of our Q&A session. I would like to thank Karen and Foong Wai once again for doing this live stream with us. Before you go, is there any final words or piece of advice you would like to share with our live audience?
I would say just if you're trying to create an animation or just building any product, just remember to have fun. If you're curious about LottieFiles, feel free to explore our web or our app. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, and we are always happy to help out or to look into any sort of things that is better catered to your needs. Yeah, just have fun.
Yeah. No, I'm just like really excited by everyone who's joined in and drop your questions and comments and tabs. I think like what Karine said, just have fun with it and reach out to us. We'll be on LinkedIn. Like if you have any ideas you want to share, any feedback that you have using our platform or the apps, just feel free to drop us a message. We'll be really happy to hear from you.
Thank you, Karen and Foong Wai for this session. And now we'll have both of you off stage. Thank you. It was nice. There was a great session by you. Yeah. See
Thank
you
you.
again.
Bye. See you. See everyone.
Okay. And before you go, do stay connected with us via our social media channels. You can follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, GitHub, and even chat with us on Discord. Hope to see you there. And also, lastly and importantly, we value your feedback. Feel free to scan this QR code or go to this link to give us the feedback regarding this live stream. If you are interested in joining our network of Lottie organizer and evangelists across the globe and running events like this one today, fill up the same feedback form with the indication that you are interested in becoming a Lottie community member, and we'll be in touch. Lastly, one lucky winner will be chosen at random for some cool LottieFiles swags. So get your feedbacks in. And the feedback form link is also there in the chat box. You can click directly from there as well. Okay. So my name is Vedankur, and on behalf of LottieFiles team, thank you for joining us. See you at the next live stream.